The date is December 22nd, 2019, and the Cincinnati Bengals have just lost 38-35 to the Miami Dolphins despite an incredible 16 points in the last 30 seconds of regulation. This loss clinched the #1 overall pick for the Bengals in the upcoming NFL draft. The team was 1-14, and it was clear quarterback Andy Dalton was past his time in Cincinnati. Looking at the team that held on to beat the Bengals, the Miami Dolphins, the fan motto for their season was tank for Tua. In their first 4 weeks, the team's point differential was -137, but rookie head coach Brian Flores would at least make the team kind of competitive, with the team now 4-11 after the win over the Bengals. Many were upset at the wins as they thought they had lost their chance for Tua, with another QB-needy team losing at a rapid pace. That team was the Los Angeles Chargers, and going into Week 17, they had lost 5 of their last 6 and were sitting at 5-10. It was clear it was time for a change. Longtime Chargers QB icon Philip Rivers was not bad, but 5-10 with a 38-year-old quarterback screams it is time to go a new direction. Unfortunately for the Chargers, they had beaten the Dolphins in Week 4 of that season, so regardless of the Week 17 outcome, Miami would have the higher pick. In Week 17, the Dolphins would beat the Patriots as the Chargers would lose to the Chiefs to both finish their seasons 5-11. The draft order was set and it went as such. Bengals had the #1 overall pick, Washington had the #2 pick, Lions at #3, Giants at 4, Dolphins at 5, and Chargers at 6. Some of that draft board was pretty much set, but the quarterback debate that would ensue for the next 4 months would be something to behold. This quarterback class was better than the previous years, but the options were still slim. At #1, you would see Joe Burrow, as he was the bona fide #1 pick. He was the QB who took over the nation and arguably had the greatest college football season of all time. The Bengals needed a new franchise QB, and Joe Burrow was going to be that guy. And as we have seen over the last few months of this prior season, where the Bengals made the Super Bowl for the first time since the 1980s, Burrow is that guy. And this is where the conundrum starts, because the next 2 quarterbacks on the board were Tua Tagovailoa and Justin Herbert. Before the season started, and ever since the 2017 College Football National Championship game, everyone wanted Tua. Tua had been the favorite to go #1 for months. Tank for Tua was a prominent saying amongst fans that rang true for Miami with no quarterback of the future. Tua's draw was his mobility, accuracy, and 22-2 winning pedigree during his time at Alabama. Finishing his college career with 87 touchdowns and 11 interceptions was incredible. Everyone knew he was a great prospect that could start Week 1. But one thing held him back, and that thing was his injury and surgery history. In college, Tua went through 2 ankle surgeries and 1 hip surgery, which obviously is a massive flag for any team searching for their future quarterback. That hip surgery was the result of a November 2019 hip injury that would end his college career. Tua was boom or bust. All it hinged on in people's minds was, can he stay healthy? Justin Herbert is a strange story. If he were to declare for the 2019 draft, there was no doubt he would have been a first-round pick, but instead he returned to Oregon for his senior season. During that senior season, Herbert put up 32 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, leading the Ducks to a 12-2 year, including a Pac-12 championship with a Rose Bowl win. His last 4 college games were lackluster passing-wise, which threw scouts off. Was he a guy? Herbert's intangibles were his major green flag, sitting at 6'6" with good mobility and a rocket arm. But everything else about the guy was heavily questioned. His decision-making proved questionable at times, accuracy was picked apart, and his lack of leadership qualities was the main thing people harped on. A former Oregon teammate called him, quote, the shyest dude I've ever met. Herbert was an introverted person, and as we do not know if that actually affected a team's view on him, it was certainly talked about. Herbert had naysayers and massive fans, but there was little in between when it came to evaluating the Oregon quarterback. Justin Herbert was a boom or bust prospect. He had the size to be great, but many analysis claimed he would be the next great bust. With the season over, NFL talk shows can get pretty stale. So when there is a QB debate in the NFL draft, you know this was the headliner for the entire month of April. Looking at mock drafts on April 14, ESPN's draft expert Mel Kiper had Herbert going to Miami at pick 5, but the day of the draft, in his final mock, he had Tua going to Miami at that same number 5 spot. ESPN's Todd McShay had Miami drafting Tua, Daniel Jeremiah had Herbert going at 5, and Peter King very boldly had Miami trading up to pick 3 and selecting Justin Herbert. The day of the draft, Vegas had Justin Herbert favored to go at the number 5 pick at -125, Tua very shortly behind at -110. In essence, nobody knew what was going to happen, and it was the only spectacle this draft had to offer. It was up to Miami at pick 5, barring a potential Chargers trade-up. Which risk did they deem had the higher upside? The prospect who was viewed as one of the most pro-ready guys in the last few draft cycles, who had mesmerizing accuracy but an injury report that looked like a CVS receipt? Or would they select the prospect viewed as a project in Justin Herbert, who had all of the intangibles, but question marks were everywhere? Come draft night, Joe Burrow went number 1, Chase Young went number 2, Jeff Okudah went number 3, and Andrew Thomas went 4. And with the 5th overall pick, the Miami Dolphins would alter their own franchise and the Chargers franchise for years to come.
With the 5th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback, Alabama.
Well, there it is.